Hey everyone, it's baze.djunkiii transmitting from Hamburg, Germany, and following up to my last video and also being inspired by Lindsay's Storytime Worst Christmas Ever video, which she posted quite a while ago and which you will find linked in the description box below. I think I could, in today's video, share my personal tips and tricks to avoid any kind of hangovers. And the first thing is just, when it comes to drinking, to avoid hangovers, is just don't. But this is boring and definitely not the point in this video. So for this video, it's like no alcohol is no option, I would say. And so let's get right into what I want to share with you. And some of these things you might have heard before, and because these kind of videos have been done on YouTube anyway. But there's one or two things you might learn about me and also about my personal approach to not being hungover. So not drinking is no option, and the first thing is, of course, drink responsibly. So it's like no binge drinking, no bottle of vodka on one evening and stuff. So mind what you drink and with whom you drink, and that you're in a kind of okay environment. Don't, if you're drunk and stuff, do not go on adventures and car surf or whatever, because that's dangerous. But anyway, know your limits is maybe a good thing. So for me, it's I pretty much know what to drink and how much I can drink and stuff. So usually that works for me pretty good. And one personal thing that works for me pretty well is, which is more like due to allergies I have, is like staying away from beer and wine, because wine, no matter how much wine, will give me like a bad headache, migraine like headache on the next day, even if it's just half a glass or something like that. And so I'm gonna leave that off. And beer is like one bottle of beer is about to fuck up my digestive system on the next day. So this is a no-go, and to that reason, I have been staying away from beer and wine for 6, 7, or 8 years right now, and I'm usually only drinking like gin and tonic, or like whiskey or rum or Calvados kind of things, and brandy and all that good stuff. Rye whiskey and rye is definitely my favorite when it comes to drinks, but I also try to test other stuff that might be tasty or tempting, whatever. And one other thing I stay away from is vodka, because I don't know why, but having, even in the days I still drank beer, it's beer was okay, but like one shot of vodka is about to kill me on the next day. So vodka is a no-go for me. And the only form I can handle vodka is to cure hangovers in form of a Bloody Mary, but this is something for the end of the video. Another good tip will be don't mix, just stay with what you started with. So if you started out with beer, stay with beer. For me, it's if I start out with bourbon, I stay with bourbon usually, and I try even not to mix brands. So it's like if I start on Bullet for a night, I will stay on Bullet Bourbon, and if I start with Bullet Rye, I will stay on Bullet Rye and stuff. So that is a thing that works for me pretty well. And also one thing, if you're drinking alcohol that is like 80 proof or plus, or 100 proof, depending on what kind of brand and bottle you have, is stay hydrated. So if you have a glass of whiskey or a glass of scotch or bourbon or whatever, try to have also a glass of water, minimum one. Your body stays hydrated and stuff, and that helps definitely to avoid any kind of hangover. And as I mentioned, high percentage, high proof alcohol is stay with the quality stuff. So rather spend $10 on a whiskey than 3, because usually the quality, not necessarily the taste, but the quality of the product will be better, and there's no bullshit in there. So same goes with vodka as well, and try to drink less but pay more, instead of like having the cheap stuff and get totally drunk, because that won't help anyway. One basic rule as well is for going with alcohol in general is like don't smoke weed when you're drunk, especially when you're pretty much drunk, and like you smoke weed afterwards. It's pretty likely that things will end up no good. This is not a good experience, I'd say, and also will give you much more likely a bad hangover on the next day. So stay away from stuff, even if you live in areas where weed is legal. So like either smoke or drink, but don't mix that stuff, I'd say. And one general rule of thumb goes along the saying we have in Germany, is like eine Grundlage schaffen, which basically means that you have to build a foundation before you drink. So like have some proper food, like some savory stuff before you go out. Not too much because you will be tired, but eat something like noodles or like meat or whatever, and like make sure that your stomach is kind of filled, so the alcohol won't hit too hard if you drink a lot, which you shouldn't. But like this foundation will definitely help to survive the next day, I'd say. And savory food is also a thing that helps after drinking. So when I'm out in the red light district, in the amusement district of Hamburg, and I have been out to my favorite bars and stuff, or like if I've worked in the Grünspan club, for example, and we have, after we close the club and everything is done, we usually have a drink or two. Then I always try before I go home to find me some savory food. This might be meatballs somewhere in the place I've showed you in a previous video, or this might be a doner kebab or whatever. Some stuff which is salty and meaty and with a little bit of fat also helps to avoid bad hangovers for me. Yeah, that's the basic things I do to avoid being hungover on the next day, which usually work, but as you've seen in the last video, not always. But this was a night when as I told you, I mixed stuff, and so this was not the brightest idea to do, but sometimes things like that happen, I'd say. And two things to do when hangover strikes on the next day, which might happen at some point, is to like have, when you feel like you're gonna throw up, to have like 1 cup of cream, like that liquid cream stuff, just pure, and just like swallow that stuff as quickly as possible. And some of you guys might think that this is more like disgusting, but it helps because the fat and the texture of that stuff is has a kind of healing effect on your stomach. So it covers the stomach from the inside, and this might help, although it sounds disgusting, but for me this works definitely, and usually it doesn't make you throw up, although you might think that. And when I was on tour a lot, I found out that like a pretty awkward combination of things helps. But if you kicked out of the hotel at 10 in the morning because you have to check out, or at 11, and the night has been long, and you have some time before you go home or like go to another city, is like find you a place that serves both alcohol and cake, and try to get a combination of Bloody Mary, which is like vodka with tomato juice and a little bit of spices and stuff, which will kind of not really heal, but diminish the level of your hangover being worse. So you will feel better, and you have a little bit of alcohol to be on a level again, and you have some vitamins and stuff from the tomato juice, and like a little bit of salt, which helps definitely. And alongside this Bloody Mary, you'll try to find you some Russian chocolate cheesecake, which is the total opposite of the Bloody Mary in terms of tastes. And this actually provides you with some sugar, and like with a nice texture, and This was when I was touring a lot. This was my favorite combination ever I found after a long night out of DJing and stuff. And so Bloody Mary and Russian chocolate cheesecake is definitely my main weapon to defend or like to fight hangovers if I'm able to have them. So it doesn't happen that often that I'm hungover anyway, so I don't have a bottle of vodka and tomato juice in my place all the time, but there have been some points in my life when I found this very helpful, and with this advice, I'm out of this video. It's like a little bit different, but these kind of how-tos and tutorials seem to be interesting, and like sharing knowledge is good, I think, and so I'm gonna go into editing and hope to see you all in my next video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up if you like what you've seen and what I've told you, and give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Subscribe also on like Twitter and Sue and Tumblr and wherever you can find me, so just like look for baze.djunkiii and you'll have me, and I'm out for now. See y'all folks later.